Good morning, children. So, what you see there, Silk Road summary. So, now we are going to do the summary of the chapter Silk Road by Nick Middleton. Remember the writer's name? The narrator was leaving Ravu and heading towards Mount Kailash to complete the Kora. It was in the early hours of the morning that they were set to leave. Lamu is the name of a person, gave the narrator a long-sleeved sheepskin coat which all the men wore as a farewell present. Satan assisted him as they got into his car. They took a shortcut to get off the Changtang. Satan knew a route that would take them southwest, almost directly towards Mount Kailash. It involved crossing several fairly high mountain passes. That means the route was fairly difficult one. He said, going that way would not be a problem if there was no snow. But that one could never know till one reached there. That means whether there's snow or not, you will come to know only after reaching that particular point, that particular place. From the gently rising and falling hills of Ravu is the name of hills, the shortcut took them across vast open plains, dry grazing land with nothing in them except a few small antelopes. Antelopes are animals. Moving ahead, they noticed that the plains became more stony than grassy, full of stones, no grass. That is the meaning. Okay? Stony than grassy. Here they saw a herd of wild ass, so many, that were racing around and of which Satan had told them even before they appeared. So wild ass could be dangerous sometimes if they attacked you. The drive again became steep. It was a little difficult. They crossed Drogbas tending their flocks. Drogbas, shepherds, those who look after the sheep. That is the meaning of Drogbas. Thickly clad men and women stared at their car and at times waved at them while the sheep would turn away from the vehicle. They passed nomads, dark tents. You know what are nomads? Who are nomads? Those who don't have a fixed home. Yes. They live in temporary homes. After that, again they move to some other place. Such people are called nomads. So they passed nomads, dark tents, pitched in the isolated places, usually with a huge black dog, a Tibetan big smooth-haired dog guarding them. So these dogs would observe them from a distance, and as they drew closer, they would rush towards them and chase them for about 100 meters. So these dogs also could be dangerous. These hairy dogs were pitch black, that means jet black in color, and usually wore bright red collars and barked angrily with enormous jaws, with their mouth wide open. They were absolutely fearless of their vehicle and would run straight onto their way. They had no fear of anybody or anything, these dogs. Satan had to brake and turn sharply to avoid them. It was because of their ferocity that means these dogs were very ferocious looking animals, that these Tibetan mastiffs were brought from Tibet to China's imperial courts as hunting dogs. So this particular type was used as hunting dogs for hunting purposes. As they entered a valley, they could see snow-capped mountains full of snow, and the wide river, but mostly blocked with ice that was sparkling in the sunshine. As they moved ahead on their upward track, the turns became sharper and the ride bumpier. The rocks around were covered with patches of bright orange lichen. Under the rocks seemed unending shade. The narrator felt the pressure building up in his ears, so he held his nose, snorted and cleared them. Just then Satan stopped, and the three of them, Satan, Daniel and the narrator, walked out of the car. It continued to snow, so there's snowfall. The snow had collected, was too steep for their vehicle to scale, to move up. Yes, so there was no way of going around the snow patch, and such routes are very difficult also. The narrator looked at his wristwatch and realized that they were at 5,210 meters above sea level. The snow didn't look too deep, but the danger was that if the car slipped, it could turn over. Yes. Then there would be an accident. Satan grabbed handfuls of soil and threw it across the frozen surface of ice. Daniel and the narrator stayed out of the vehicle to lessen Satan's load. He backed and drove towards the dirty snow, and with no difficulty the car moved on. But after 10 minutes of driving, there was another obstruction. Satan assessed the scene, and this time he decided to drive round the snow. It was a steep slope. Steep slope is very difficult, scattered with big rocks, but Satan got past them. He managed. The narrator checked his watch again. They were 5,400 meters above sea level, and his head began to ache. Ache means pain terribly. He gulped a little water for relief, so he drank a little water so that he could feel a bit relieved. When they reached the top of the pass at 5,515 meters, they noticed large rocks decorated with white silk scarves and ragged prayer flags. All of them took a clockwise round them as in the tradition, and Satan checked the tires on his vehicle. He stopped at the petrol tank. The low atmospheric pressure was allowing the fuel to expand. The narrator was soon relieved of headache as they went to the other side of the pass. At 2 o'clock, they stopped for lunch and ate hot noodles inside a long canvas work tent put up beside a dry salt lake. The plateau was covered with spots of salty desert area and salt lakes, leftovers of the Tethys Ocean which surrounded Tibet before the steep climb. Here there was a lot of activity. Men with pickaxes and shovels were moving around wearing long sheepskin coats and salt-covered boots. All of them were wearing sunglasses against the bright light of the trucks as they came laden with piles of salt. So that's all for this session. It's a long, lengthy summary. So we will stop here. Read this much, children. Try to understand. Read with proper understanding. We'll continue with the same tomorrow. That's all. Thank you.